behind the scenes with future country rock blues kings and queens. Discover them first with Paul Mash TV. Paul Mash TV.
Well, hello everybody. It's Paul Mash TV time again. Thank you so much for joining us. We got another great interview coming up for you, obviously, and it's a really great one too. But before we get into that, we have that subscribe button and the bell here on YouTube. So if you want to follow us and subscribe, you'll be always notified of any new episodes coming your way. Leave a comment on the comment section too if you'd like. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're on Facebook, go to facebook.com/Paul Mash TV. And feel free to follow us there, send us an inbox, comment the things you see there. And also, we're on email as well, paulmashtv, all one word, at gmail.com. And if you're a band or a solo artist and want to be on the show, send us an email. We'll show you how to do that. But if you're just simply a fan, go ahead and send us a fan letter. We'd love to hear from you there. And all this is going to be recapped at the closing credits at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. From Trumball, Connecticut, we have Steve Gaspar. He's with a group called the Hollywood All-Stars, and he's really awesome. And I think you're going to agree. And we'll get to that in 1 second because it starts right now. Okay, everybody, it's time for the interview as promised. And with us from Trumball, Connecticut, we have Steve Gaspar with us today. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Paul, it's my pleasure. I want to thank you for taking the time to let me tell you a little bit about the Hollywood All-Stars new album. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's the band you're with, Hollywood All-Stars. It's a pretty good band, and the song is obviously good too. And I know you'll be anxious to get in that in a few minutes. But tell us about how it all started for you. I mean, I'm sure it's a great story, but maybe you always wanted to be an artist, and maybe you just kind of fell into it one day. I mean, just tell us in your own words. We'd love to hear it.
Well, I actually was born to a musical family. My dad was a classical musician. Trombone was his instrument. He played in a lot of different symphony orchestras, the Chicago Symphony, the Dallas Symphony, Chicago Symphony, before he settled on the East Coast in Connecticut, where he was the principal trombonist with the New Haven Symphony and the Bridgeport Symphony, among many others. And when I was 4.5 years old, Dad decided that little Stephen was going to take piano lessons. And that's sort of how it began for me, Paul. I mean, it really wasn't so much a choice as it was something that I just was thrown into as a child. And it's become my life's work.
Okay, well, obviously you're good at what you do. Hopefully you'll have many years left ahead of you in your music career. So
fingers crossed.
Okay. Well, I think you did mention, like, before the show, I think you mentioned, like, Keith Richards and was from your area. And what would you say he was pretty much an idol of yours? Maybe you can talk to us about some of the bands that inspired you.
Well, the Rolling Stones for sure. And it became, a double thrill for me when we started to put the Hollywood All-Stars together, for me to actually get the horn section, the Uptown Horns that performed on the Rolling Stones Steel Wheels tour. But growing up, I was, obviously because I was a piano player, in the very beginning, there weren't a lot of keyboards in music. When you think back to the Beatles and the Stones and a lot of the other earlier bands, there weren't a lot of keyboards incorporated into them. And then, of course, Santana, the Young Rascals, and all of these bands that were using Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Hammond organ became a big passion of mine. And that sound was something that just connected with me and obviously has stayed with me to this day.
Yeah, that's good, because there are, even though there are a lot of good piano players and whatnot, one that was obviously really good was Elton John, and I know he
for sure, yeah.
And but those are really good, obviously, inspirations for you. Somebody might be watching this right now, and they might say to themselves, "How am I going to get the Hollywood All-Stars music?" And where can I follow them on social media? It's a two-part question there, but tell everybody where they could do that.
Well, first of all, our website is thehollywoodallstars.net. NET, we're a net website. But the album, the Hollywood All Stars Field of Grace, is available everywhere, wherever you want to stream or purchase. It's available on iTunes, Amazon, Pandora, Spotify, anywhere that you search for the Hollywood All Stars Field of Grace, it'll come up. I want to give a quick shout out to our record company, Deco Entertainment, because thanks to them, obviously the distribution for the record is a big factor. So people watching, I would love for you to go pick up a physical copy, check it out, and I would love to hear what you think. You could contact me via our website or even on my own personal Facebook page, Paul. I'm very good about accepting friend requests, and I'm anxious to talk to anyone who's willing to listen about this band, because I do think it's really something very special.
Okay, well, just follow him on all those those streaming sites and download his music and go to their website, and obviously check him out on Facebook. He, like he said, he'd love to talk to you, so I hope you'll do that. And the song I think you just mentioned, "The Field of Grace," I do believe is the video we're going to be watching. It's a kind of a lyric video, but tell us a little story about that song. We'd love to hear it.
Well, you know what? During the lockdown, Paul, during COVID, I mean, was when I really got serious about taking the band to the next level and writing for it. And Field of Grace was the first song that I actually put together for the project. And it was sort of my interpretation, my spin on a contemporary breakup song. How a relationship starts off on the best notes, everyone's on their best behavior, and it's sort of the honeymoon phase, and that's where the Field of Grace is created. But as time goes on, you start to see little chinks in the armor, and little by little, things sometimes, I mean, unfortunately, take a bad turn. And I mean, the song is really like a mini movie. I mean, by the time you get to the guitar solo, 3/4 of the way through the song, that's really when you could see the relationship going up in flames. And it's a very, very good song. Features myself, obviously, the Uptown Horns, who I mentioned earlier from the Rolling Stones Steel Wheels tour. On bass, we have Scott Spray from the Johnny and Edgar Winter groups. Vocals are performed by Tommy Bowes from the Tower of Power. And my co-producer on the project, Andy Abel, is doing all of the guitar work, which is really extraordinary stuff. So, you know, it's a really great song. I'm anxious for people to hear it.
Okay. Well, it is a great song, and I've heard it a couple times. I think you really did a good job on that, and you out there can be the judge as well. And we'll get to that in 1 second, but thank you so much, Steve, for coming on the show. We love to have you back again anytime you want to plug something new.
Thank you, Paul. Anytime. And again, we want to thank you. It's our pleasure.
Yeah, no problem. And here it is, the song, and it starts right now.
By a field of grace, lying beneath a blanket of passion. Were you an angel or just my heart's assassin? I feel the vultures circling above what used to be undying love. Now it's time to give up, 'cause I love you too much not to love you enough. Now it's different, that look on your face. Whatever happened to our field of grace? We need space, perhaps medication. Reality's better in my imagination. I feel the vultures circling above what used to be undying love. Now it's time to give up, 'cause I love you too much not to love you enough. Hey, yeah. I feel the vultures circling above.